Hi, it's Gary Kayye. We're here at Integrate 2018. The show literally just opened, and I have Stuart Craig, CEO of Asia Pacific, Crestron. How are you?
I'm very well. Beautiful morning. Busy show already.
You're kind of in an envious position, or enviable position, because everyone's going to come to the Crestron booth.
Well, if we do our job right, they will. That's right. Yeah. And this year, I think we've got a good story to tell.
Yeah, and your story really has been, for the last year and a half, you could argue, that, look, if you're in IT, this is sort of, as you put it earlier on, this is an IT manager's dream.
This is really what it is. I mean, in many cases, the IT director has had AV sort of thrown upon them. Hey, you're now in charge of this. Yeah. And so our job is to make it more familiar for those guys. If they can deploy it from the cloud and manage it from the cloud, push out firmware and upgrades and whatever, and have virtual control, they can program stuff in C#, which makes them comfortable, and HTML5 on the control panels. Well, that is their dream.
Well, you know, interestingly enough, if you kind of track the industry, this area of the world, specifically Australia, tends to adopt things earlier than the rest of the world. Like, I mean, the first place I saw an AV IP install of AV over IP was actually here at a big university. Let's talk about cloud for just a second, because you mentioned that. That's brand new to our industry. You're the first company to sort of talk about that, and you're the first company to actually have a finished offering.
Yep.
There's a lot of companies talking about building something. You have a finished offering. Has there been adoption to that, and sort of where do you see that fitting into the strategy of everything else here?
Yeah, so we really only released it here a couple of months ago, and we already have 10 POCs up and running in end users' facilities, and the demand is enormous. And again, it's because we're answering a need.
Yeah. And so, do you see, if we were standing here 5 years from now, that basically everything's going to be connected through the cloud, or where do you see that adoption rate?
I'd be very surprised if it wasn't. Yeah. I mean, but I think there's two parts to it. The great thing for Crestron as well is that because we engineer all our hardware and everything's designed to work together, it's a platform, right? So you can't go to the cloud and have 10 different brands. It just doesn't really work. And to us, that's another big part of the advantage to the IT guy.
And then how do you handle sort of the legacy gear there? Because that's going to bring up a whole different set of challenges where, I mean, you could even talk about lighting control, legacy lighting control. It's a lot different the way that people are doing lighting control now with new technology.
And all these things, that'll take time before everybody gets there. But as you say, in 5 years' time, most people have done some sort of tech refresh. Yeah. This is what they'll be doing.
Yeah, and so here at the show, like ISC, not like Infocom, you actually are sort of split between your residential and your commercial. Where do you see the split come in for your organization and for the show here? Is it 20-80, 50-50?
It's 80-20, you know, 80 commercial, 20 residential, I'm sure. Yep.
But aren't you also noticing more commercial integrators doing what used to be considered a residential project, like bars and restaurants and things like that?
You're seeing both. Resi guys doing MDUs and doing some little cafes and bars, and you're seeing commercial guys doing some more of that stuff as well. It's everyone's doing everything. Yeah.
Now, you've been making speakers for a while, but didn't that help you kind of get into a different segment of the market that you didn't think you'd get into?
It was a gap we had to fill, absolutely. And I have an audio background, so I was particularly happy to see that happen. Yeah. And the same thing, our DSPs in the last couple of years have taken us into a whole nother level of job as well.
Yeah, and not just integrated systems, but also large live applications as well.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, even, for example, that wind project we did up in Macau is like, 1,700 rooms, but if you walk through all the auditorium areas and things, there's a lot of Crestron speakers, and that wouldn't have happened before.
Yeah, and so things are changing. I mean, I think it's funny because if you came to the first Integrate show 10 years ago, you walk around your booth, all you had was little black boxes and little connectivity things and product everywhere, and you walk around now and you're seeing a seamless experience.
I think it's for two reasons. One is because people want, as you say, an experience. So they don't want to just see a box, okay, how am I going to use this thing? The other thing is these shows are so much more today about the conversation as opposed to here's the box. I want to see the box. There's plenty of other ways to see it, right?
Right, and then you're also kind of trying to show them that you don't have to have all the equipment out anymore like you used to. It can all be really hidden, and it's moving over the network. Let me ask you one last thing about AV over IP.
Sure.
Crestron was one of the first companies to have an AV over IP product with the NVX system.
Sure.
How's that going in the APAC region?
NVX, the take-up has been enormous. Even I knew Australia would be quick, and New Zealand, but in the other regions it's taking off enormously as well. In China we're seeing huge take-up, India as well, so there's nothing stopping that train, that's for sure.
When you have a follow-up product to that, because you're going to have a lot of people asking about other versions and other compatibilities and things like that. And
so the Daunte version is the 352. That's available in December, December and January. So it'll start to roll out. That's the absolute next one, cab off the rank that everyone wants to see.
Yeah, I think you'll have something else coming at ISC.
We do.
I bet you would. But look, we're going to go around and shoot individual product videos, or I'd say application videos here in the Crestron booth. All you have to do is type in Crestron in the video search window. You can see them all. Craig, congratulations. And thanks again for supporting our coverage here and for supporting the show as well.
Pleasure.
So
no
appreciate your
Good
time.
to see you again, Gary.
Thank you, and thanks for watching.
Okay.